Alrighty, I think we have just about everyone, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, and thank you all so much for joining our webinar this evening, where we will be discussing your annual trip as a Central Coast Community Energy customer on the Net Energy Metering Program. My name is Sophia Schwartzky, and I'm on tonight with Jeff Railsback, so I'll hand off to him so he can introduce himself.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Railsback. I'm the Customer Accounts Manager for Central Coast Community Energy. I am based in San Luis Obispo and cover the San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara areas. I am a local here and look forward to your questions tonight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenna Espinoza. I also work out of the San Luis Obispo office with Jeff and have been with Central Coast Community Energy since June of last year, and very excited to share the evening with you.
And I work out of our Monterey office. Each of us are members of the customer accounts team at Central Coast Community Energy. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over a few quick housekeeping items. We have designated time at the end of our presentation for taking questions. Please drop your questions in the Q&A box whenever they come up for you. We are going to be answering as many as we can this evening. For some of your simpler questions, we will be answering them in real time via the Q&A box. The remainder we will save for the end of our presentation. If you have any questions specific to your bill, please give us a call at 1-877-455-2223 or email us at info@3ce.org. And don't worry, you don't have to memorize that phone number. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you right now. Please note that this webinar is being recorded, and we're going to send you a copy of these slides along with a link to the recording tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And as a quick note, we know the NEM 3.0 decision is right around the corner. We want to stress that Central Coast Community Energy will not be making this decision, and we won't be taking questions related to it tonight. We are going to drop another link in the chat for you right now. This is the link you can follow to head to the California Public Utilities Commission's website, and you can leave your public comment there if you'd like to do so. Now I'm going to hand off to Jeff, who will go over our agenda for the night and be kicking us off.
Yes, thank you, Sophia. Here's our agenda tonight. We're going to leave plenty of time at the end for questions, so we'll be keeping a pretty brisk pace for our actual presentation. We're going to start off by giving you context on who Central Coast Community Energy, or CCCE, is and the work we're doing. Next, we want to talk about what it means to be a CCCE customer on the NEM program and what your annual true-up will look like this month. And if you stick around after this portion of the presentation, we'll be explaining some of our clean energy programs, which are available to you as CCCE customers. And finally, we've reserved time at the end of this presentation to take your questions live. Again, please note that if we don't get your question tonight, you can always call or email us. Those contacts are in the chat box, if you'd like to save them for future reference. This information is also available on our website. Sophia will be dropping links to that site in the chat right now. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about who Central Coast Community Energy is. We are what is known as a community choice aggregator. Community choice aggregators are public agencies owned by the communities they serve. A community choice aggregator will take over the process of purchasing energy from investor-owned utilities, in our case, PG&E or SCE. The investor-owned utility continues to deliver the power, maintain utility infrastructure, and bills the customers we share with the community choice aggregator. The community will decide to join the community choice aggregator so they can have control of where their energy is generated from, usually clean and renewable sources. The agency that serves you, Central Coast Community Energy, is one of 24 community choice aggregators in California. Community choice aggregators currently serve 11 million customers and counting in this And there are many benefits of living in a community that is served by a community choice aggregator. For example, there are no shareholders or investors in this model. The revenue generated stays local. This revenue is reinvested back into the community through clean energy programs and rebates. Central Coast Community Energy serves more than 430,000 customers, which is 90% of the households and businesses in our region. I'll show you what that region looks like in just a minute. As our customer, you're receiving competitive rates and access to our clean energy programs, which we'll talk more about later. You are helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in your community. Like I said before, community trust aggregators like CCCE will take over the process of purchasing energy from an investor-owned utility, in this case, PG&E or SCE. If you'd like to follow along with this graphic for a moment, CCCE starts by procuring your energy supply. Your investor-owned utility delivers this energy, maintains the power lines, and you benefit from affordable rates on clean energy and clean energy programs. Central Coast Community Energy is a public agency governed by 2 boards of directors, with no investors as shareholders to pass profits on to. Together with our customers and our board of directors, we choose how to best reinvest in our Central Coast community. By having local control over your region's electricity needs, deploying innovative energy solutions, and being responsive excuse me, to the needs of our diverse Central Coast community, CCCE is powering economic and environmental benefits to our customers, communities, and the planet. Now I want to go into some details of where our customers are located. Central Coast Community Energy is made up of 33 members. That's 29 cities and 4 counties that collectively agreed to provide their communities with cleaner energy. On this map, the areas in green represent communities that are currently enrolled with CCCE. Geographically, we're the largest CCA in California and represent a very diverse community. A 34th community has elected to join Central Coast Community Energy and will begin enrolling the city of Atascadero in 2024. Together with our customers, Central Coast Community Energy is on a pathway to achieving 60% clean and renewable energy by 2025 and 100% clean and renewable energy by 2030. That is 15 years ahead of California's mandate for zero emissions. Our 100% clean energy pathway includes solar, wind, geothermal, small hydro, and biomass projects. Each long-term power purchasing agreement that we entered into is for a clean energy product. Through our investments, we are bringing new clean energy into the California grid.
Thank you, Jeff. Now that you have that context, I'm going to jump right into our focus of the evening, net energy metering as a Central Coast Community Energy customer. If you are here tonight, it is because you are a Central Coast Community Energy customer on the net energy metering program, which we will be referring to as the NEM program from here on out. I want to start by going over some acronyms and definitions we will be using throughout this presentation. You are on the NEM program if you have an on-site energy system that is generating electricity. Some customers generate electricity at their location using their own power source, such as solar panels. They consume some or all of that energy for their own needs, drawing from the grid when they consume more than they generate. A net user is someone on the NEM program who uses more energy than they generate on a yearly basis. And a net generator is someone who produces more energy than they use on a yearly basis. A retail credit is accrued by a customer on the NEM program who overgenerates 1 month. This amount is banked till the customer's annual true-up and can be used on a future month should they undergenerate. Retail credits are reset during a customer's annual true-up. NSC is net surplus compensation. NSC is the amount a net generator is paid out during their annual true-up. This is calculated by taking the sum of the net generator's usage and multiplying it by the NSC rate. And we are going to get into all of this in more detail on future slides. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page here before we get started. Here is a brief overview of what you can expect as a Central Coast Community Energy customer on the NEM program. Our next slides will go into greater detail on monthly billing, retail credits, your annual true-up, and finally, net surplus compensation. Let's start off with monthly billing. All Central Coast Community Energy customers are billed monthly for energy generation. And this includes customers on the NEM program when they undergenerate on any given month. Customers continue to receive one bill from their investor-owned utility, which is PG&E or Southern California Edison for our purposes. And this utility charges for transmission and delivery services while we charge for generation services. Our focus tonight is really on the generation side of things. So please reach out to your investor-owned utility. Again, that's PG&E or Southern California Edison, if you have any questions on the transmission and distribution side of things. So your monthly bill is going to show how much electricity was used and generated in the previous bill period. And you'll also see your associated charges with Central Coast Community Energy. Again, if a customer consumes more energy than they produce that month, the total Central Coast Community Energy charges are positive, and the customer will be charged. However, if the customer produced more than they consumed, the total Central Coast Community Energy charges are negative. The credits for that excess amount of energy are banked to offset consumption in future months of the same year. In effect, customers have a running balance that reflects their credits, which is used to offset charges throughout the year. And during the customer's annual true-up, these retail credits will reset. Monthly billing provides customers with greater visibility into how their on-site generation systems are functioning and when they are over or under generating. The monthly billing system also helps mitigate the potential for significant year-end charges for customers whose systems regularly undergenerate, which does represent most of our customers on the NEM program. Now we are going to take a moment to look at some example monthly bills of our customers on the NEM program. This is a Central Coast Community Energy customer whose investor-owned utility is PG&E. And I will be going over an example of a Southern California Edison customer's bill in just a moment, so hang tight if that's you. The information from this slide can be found on page number 1 of your bill if you are a PG&E customer. Please refer to the green arrow on the right of this slide labeled A. This customer was not charged by Central Coast Community Energy this month, and their balance was $0. This is because this customer generated more energy than they used this month. And just as an FYI, the $163 credit balance you're seeing on this bill is due to an overpayment this customer made to PG&E, and it will be applied to future Central Coast Community Energy and PG&E charges. It's not really relevant to what we're talking about tonight. I just didn't want there to be any confusion. Next, we're going to look at arrow B, again on the right side of this slide. Please note that this portion of your bill does not relate to Central Coast Community Energy charges. This portion is going to relate to your PG&E net energy metering charges for transmission and delivery only, not generation. So any questions related to this portion of your bill should be directed to PG&E directly. If you look at the arrow on the left side of this page, that's where you can find PG&E's contact information if you did have questions related to the transmission and delivery portion of your bill. So this is an example of information that can be found near the end of your PG&E bill. We're going to start with the arrow labeled A on the left side of this slide. When you look for this page on your bill, it will be titled Details of Central Coast Community Energy Electric Generation Charges. So that's how you know you're in the right place. I can't say for certain which page of your bill this will be. It's a little bit different for everyone, but it's near the end. Now we're going to look at arrow B. Here you can see that this customer generated about 59 kilowatt hours during off-peak times and used about 17 kilowatt hours during on-peak times. Just for some context, off-peak hours are during the day when the sun is shining and late at night when fewer people are using energy. And the on-peak hours are around when most people get home from work and start using electricity in their homes. This customer was credited $5.32 for the amount they generated, and they were charged $2.47 for the amount of energy they used. The amount they were charged was pulled from that $5.32 credit. So if you look at arrow C, you will see that the customer still has $2.85 remaining in retail credits. Please note that if this customer had not received retail credits because they undergenerated, the line at arrow C would just say your NEM balance owed is $0. Finally, I want us to take a look at arrow D. You can see that the customer was not billed this month as their retail credit covered all Central Coast Community Energy charges for the month. So we have one more example for you tonight on the monthly billing side of things. This is a Central Coast Community Energy customer whose investor-owned utility is Southern California Edison, or SCE. This is page 1 of that customer's bill. Please refer to arrow A on the right side of this page. This portion of your bill refers to your SCE charges for transmission and delivery, not your Central Coast Community Energy charges for generation. And again, any questions on this portion of your bill should be directed to SCE directly. Arrow B will point you to where you can find their contact information. Now, please refer to arrow C on the left side of this page. Again, these are SCE's transmission and delivery charges, not Central Coast Community Energy's generation charges. This page is a continuation of the previous bill we were just looking at. This is the page of your bill that will show you your Central Coast Community Energy specific charges. And this page can be found near the end of your bill. Again, I'm not sure exactly which page it'll be, but it's near the end. So if you look at arrow A, you can see that the page you are looking for is titled Supply/Generation. And you can see on this page that Central Coast Community Energy supplies this customer's electricity. Now let's look at arrow B on the left side of this page. Here you can see the customer's rate information and specifics on their generation charges. If you look at arrow C, you'll see that this customer has $25.18 credited to their NEM balance. This is because they generated more energy than they used this month. $25.18 accounts for the retail credits this customer earned for this month alone. Finally, please take a look at arrow D on the right side of this page. This customer's NEM credit balance is $54.35. This number is their total retail credits, including the $25.18 they earned this month. Had this customer undergenerated, this would simply say your NEM credit balance is 0. The second bullet on this list is the total amount of kilowatt hours this customer has used this year. You can see that this number is negative, which means this customer is a net generator. The third bullet point here simply means this customer's annual true-up is in December, like all Central Coast Community Energy customers. I hope these examples were helpful, but I know this can all be confusing. So please give us a call or email us if you'd like to go over your bill with someone one-on-one. And again, our email and phone number is in the webinar chat here. So like I said before, all Central Coast Community Energy customers on the NEM program true up in December. During the annual true up, all accrued retail credits are reset, and the customer's net surplus compensation is calculated. If throughout the year, a customer generated more energy than they consumed, they are a net generator. The amount they overgenerated or did not use will be used to calculate their net surplus compensation. This overgenerated amount is multiplied by the customer's net surplus compensation rate. Net consumers, or those who used more energy than they generated throughout the year, will not receive net surplus compensation. And if someone were to generate exactly as much energy as they used, they would also not receive net surplus compensation. So before I said that the customer figures out what their net surplus compensation will be by multiplying the amount they overgenerated by their net surplus compensation rate. So for PG&E customers, the net surplus compensation rate is going to be 4.7 cents. And for our Southern California Edison customers, the net surplus compensation rate is going to be 4.2 cents. So I want to give you an example of how you could calculate your net surplus compensation. And for this example, we are going to show you a customer who generated a total of 475 kilowatt hours over what they used throughout the year. Remember that only customers who are net generators, or those who generated more energy than they consumed, will receive net surplus compensation during their annual true-up. Net surplus compensation equals a customer's excess generation multiplied by that customer's net surplus compensation rate. And like I said before, the net surplus compensation rate for SCE customers is 4.2 cents, and the net surplus compensation rate for PG&E customers is 4.7 cents. So for this example, we are assuming the customer is a PG&E customer and using that net surplus compensation rate of 4.7 rather than 4.2 for our Southern California Edison customers. This customer will multiply their excess generation by their net surplus compensation rate. So for this example, that's 475 times 0.047, which gives us 22.33. This customer will be receiving $22.33 in net surplus compensation during their annual true-up. This amount is banked to be used for any future Central Coast Community Energy charges. The banked net surplus compensation credit will be used to reduce charges on future bills. When a customer has both net surplus compensation and retail credits, the retail credits will be used first. The amount you receive in net surplus compensation during your annual true-up is never reset like retail credits are. Whoops, go back real quick. Which means it can roll over to the next year if you don't use that net surplus compensation in the previous year. All right, so now I want to tell you how you can receive your net surplus compensation. Customers who are eligible for net surplus compensation will receive the dollar amount as a credit on their future bills. If you are a residential customer who is receiving at least $200 in net surplus compensation, you can call us to request that the credits be removed from your account and be delivered to you via check. And commercial customers who are receiving at least $500 in net surplus compensation can do the same. Just note that if you are a Southern California Edison customer and not a PG&E customer, this will happen automatically. So if you're over that $200 threshold as a residential customer, you will automatically receive a check, while PG&E customers request it by calling our office. So that's it for the annual true-up portion of this conversation. And I hope this information was helpful, but again, just give us a call or send us an email if you have any bill-specific questions you'd like to go over with us. We will be addressing the questions that have been coming in just a moment here, but first I'm going to hand off to Jeff, who will go over some of the programs that are available to you as a Central Coast Community Energy customer.
Great, thank you, Sophia. I know that's a lot to take in. We're going to kind of go over some of the benefits of being a customer of Central Coast Community Energy. As you can see on this list, our agency is investing in a number of clean energy programs for the 2022 to 23 fiscal year. We have an investment of $16 million for this year alone. Since our agency began service in 2018, we have contributed $43 million into energy programs in our service areas. The next few slides I have for you are related to a few of the energy programs for this year that you may find interesting. I want to go to the basics of our Electrify Your Ride program. Central Coast Community Energy has budgeted $2 million for rebates under the fiscal year Electrify Your Ride program. Applicants are eligible for 1 electric vehicle rebate, 1 level 2 charger rebate, and 1 EV readiness rebate per site address. Central Coast Community Energy customers can receive up to $4,000 in electric vehicle rebates, which can be stacked up with a $700 in level 2 charger rebates and up to $700 in EV readiness rebates. All of our rebates are designed to be stacked with other state and federal programs. The EV readiness rebate is intended to reimburse the cost of materials and labor for electrical work associated with a level 2 charger installation. Sophia will drop some links to the program in the chat about this program. Another program I'd like to tell you about is Electrify Your Home. To electrify your home, Central Coast Community Energy provides contractors with cash incentives for qualifying projects in our service area. The incentives will be passed on to you as a homeowner in a line item on your invoice for the project in question. These incentives are available when switching from gas-powered water heaters and HVAC equipment to all electric versions. Incentives are available to help cover appliance costs and costs related to electrical panel upgrades or replacement. Sophia will drop links to this program in the chat as well. Another program you may be interested in is our new construction electrification program. This program provides housing developers and homeowners with incentives to build all-electric housing. These projects must be built to an all-electric standard for all energy utility needs, including but not limited to water heating, space heating, and cooking appliances. Eligible products include affordable housing developments, farm worker housing developments, and construction of accessory dwelling units. So if you're thinking of building a granny unit in the future, please consider this program. You can get up to $5,000 back in each unit, or a total of $10,000 back if you were to do 2 projects. Sophia will drop links to this program in the chat. And now Jenna will take over with our Q&A.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me just start with asking Sophia a question. We have one customer asking why they pay for transmission and delivery services if they are always a net generator.
Yeah, that's a great question. So PG&E does charge you a flat rate per month for transmission and delivery, and that is because they are maintaining that infrastructure. So if you see a charge around $10 on your bill from PG&E, that's what that is. That is the cost of being tied to the grid.
And even if someone is a net generator, there are times of the day, typically at night, when they are pulling down off the grid. And so that is why everyone is required to be interconnected to the grid. Thank you.
Right, Sophia, kind of a couple questions as far as the true up. First of all, is the true up at the beginning or the end of December?
So your annual true up is going to be whenever your bill cycle is in December. So whenever you're billed in December, that is when your annual true up is taking place. So your January bill cycle is a fresh start for the new year.
And just to follow that thread, if they had a true up in April with PG&E, why is that different?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to go back to the graph that Jeff was showing us earlier. Just a moment here. So if you're looking at this graph with me, you can see that Central Coast Community Energy is procuring your energy supply. So that is the generation side of things. Your annual true-up with us in December is solely related to generation. Separate from that, your investor-owned utility, or PG&E, or Southern California Edison, will be having a separate true-up with you for your transmission and delivery charges. So if you're seeing 2 true-ups throughout the year, that's why. You'll have one in December with Central Coast Community Energy and another true-up with your investor-owned utility at some point throughout the year. You'd need to reach out to them for more specifics on that, but they are different. The one from us for generation is your true-up for your generation, and then the true-up with your investor-owned utility is solely for transmission and delivery.
And just to clarify, is this the true up? If your bill is received, Amy, I'm just going to answer your question instead of typing. If you are typically billed on December 14th, then that's when your true up is going to happen. So your true up is going to be running from through December 14th. And then when you receive your bill in the mail next week, you'll be able to see what your annual true up is. Sophia, could you clarify the difference between retail credit and net surplus compensation?
Absolutely. So your retail credit is what you'll see on your bill on any given month throughout the year. So say you overgenerate one month and you produce more energy than you used, you are given a retail credit for that amount that you overproduced, and that'll just be sitting on your bill. So say the next month you undergenerate and you owe us money. We're going to pull directly from that retail credit from any given previous month to put towards the cost of your bill for undergenerating during that bill cycle. So that's what retail credits are, and those are reset during your annual true-up, at which point we calculate your net surplus compensation. And this is the amount that you receive at the end of the year in December. And it's calculated differently than your retail credits, and that's where our equation comes into play. So let me bring that one back real quickly. So to calculate your net surplus compensation, you're taking the entire amount that you overgenerated or put back onto the grid throughout that whole year and multiplying that number by your net surplus compensation rate, which is 4.7 cents for PG&E customers and 4.2 cents for Southern California Edison customers. So the net surplus compensation is calculated for your entire amount of under generation throughout the year, while your retail credits build up throughout the year based on whether or not you're over or under generating on any given month.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. If the NSC credit to the bill, are they able to use that money to help pay their gas as well as their electric on their PG&E bill?
That's a great question. So your net surplus compensation will be automatically applied to Central Coast Community Energy generation charges unless you are above that $200 threshold for residential customers, in which case it will also be put towards your PG&E fees.
There's a couple questions here about the programs themselves and how they're funded. All of our programs are funded through they're built into our rates, and it's a small percentage of the money that is brought in by our ratepayers. And it's part of our mission, but also part of our goals in order to get reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And so we do feel like it's an important part of our service to our customers. So there is no additional tax. It is just kind of a piece of the rate structure. Most utilities have very similar programs that do the same thing.
And Central Coast Community Energy doesn't have investors like your investor-owned utility does, so we're able to put the revenue towards those clean energy programs.
Sophia, how is our net surplus compensation rate set, and is it likely to be changed by the CPUC tomorrow?
So our net surplus compensation rate is set by our board. In previous years, it's been set between retail and wholesale prices. It will not be changing in January. And if it were to change, it would be voted on again by our board, at which point you could tune into those board meetings online and provide a public comment. I can't speak to changes related to the NEM 3.0 decision, but I can say there will not be a change to our net surplus compensation rate without it being voted on by our board.
Thank you. I also just want to feed off of that to finish answering Joe's question. Joe, if you're on NEM 1.0 or NEM 2.0 already, then you will not be immediately affected by the CPUC's ruling on NEM 3.0 unless you move or change your system and make it larger, or go through the full 20 years of your participation in NEM 1.0 or NEM 2.0.
Sophia, why did 3CE decide to do the true up in December?
December is our true up month for all Central Coast Community Energy customers. When this decision was made, it was based on the month that most of our customers were already truing up in, and we picked December as the least impactful month in terms of existing net energy metering customers.
And there's one in here about an existing additional dwelling unit. Yeah, the idea is if it's permitted and you do convert to electric from gas, you should be eligible for the program. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and reach out to that email, the info@3ce.org. Just ask them to forward it to Jeff, and it'll get to me, and we can go over specifics on that. Let's see, there's a question about this as being an additional layer between PG&E and the relationship with the energy bill. We are replacing what they were doing before. Frankly, we rephrase that. We're a mission-based organization versus a profit-based organization, and so our goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and do that at a competitive rate. If you are a PG&E customer, we're actually right now running at about 20% lower on our generation rates, and so you're actually saving money. A lot of that is because, as we have said a few times, we don't pay our stockholders. We're not paying bonuses. Our board of directors does not receive additional compensation. They are elected officials and city government employees. And so we run a pretty tight and lean ship, and we think we deliver a pretty nice product at a competitive rate. And there's one specific about a bill. Let's see, PG&E bill you stated the portion on the first page was from PG&E. Is that the amount they are charging me for transmission and delivery? That seems like a lot. I'll let Sophia go over the bill part, but in general, the PG&E portion of your bill is about 2/3 of your electric bill. Your generation costs are only about 1/3. But Sophia, if you want to explain that further.
Yeah, so the customer from this example, they were only charged this current PG&E electric monthly charges. If you look at arrow A, that $10.59 charge, that's that flat rate I was talking about to be attached to the grid. And you can see here that they weren't charged by Central Coast Community Energy this month. If you look at the $0 amount over by arrow A, because again, they overgenerated and contributed more energy than they used. So for specific questions related to what PG&E is billing you, you will need to reach out to them directly so that they can give you more insights. But if you have more specific questions on the Central Coast Community Energy generation charges, please go ahead and send us an email, call us at that number. Let me send it again. And we'd love to have someone walk you through your bill one-on-one so we can make sure that you're understanding what those charges are.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. I just want to jump in here and answer a couple quick questions from Alice, you're asking if we're planning to start any energy conservation programs. This is a space that the utilities tend to have, PG&E and SCE tend to have a lot of resources and great programs. So we don't intend to have any programs like that because there's already a lot of support through the utilities, and we're really focused on those REACH goals of getting electrification and helping people transition away from natural gas needs. So just wanted to share that with you. And then I had another quick question I was going to answer just to give Sophia a breather. Carolyn asked what I meant by NEM 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. So when you get your solar system installed, then you're put into a specific program. So NEM 1.0 is simply just the first iteration of the state's net energy metering program. It's where the early adopters landed, and then NEM 2.0 was the second iteration of that. It's very easy to find on your bill. Yeah, it's actually on the screen right now under your enrolled programs on that left-hand column. It says net energy metering NEM 2. So this customer is in NEM 2.0. Hope that answers your question. And then Elaine, I'll just go ahead and say that, yes, your net surplus compensation credit, when it sits on the bill, it can be applied to both your Central Coast community energy costs or those from PG&E or SCE.
And that's if you're over the $200 threshold. Below that, it's applied automatically to Central Coast community energy charges. And above that, it'll be applied to both our charges and your investor-owned utilities charges.
Sophia, do I get a credit at the off-peak rate, but pay the on-peak rate if I under-generate?
So if you're talking about your net surplus compensation, that's going to be no matter what the amount of energy you put back into the grid in terms of kilowatt hours multiplied by your net surplus compensation rate. And then for your retail credits, it's a 1-to-1. So if you're giving energy back to the grid during peak hours, that's what you're getting retail credits for. And same if you were doing it during off-peak hours.
Sophia, Stephen is on a tariff that SCE is retiring, and they were wondering if moving from one rate tariff to another would cause them to lose their status as a net energy metering program participant.
No, as long as you still have your net energy metering system in place and are generating energy, you will still be a net energy metering customer. And for more specifics on that rate, I would recommend that you reach out to us directly so we can walk you through that, or your investor-owned utility.
Let's see, it's a good question about net surplus compensation being about 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Does it really pay to invest in more solar than you expect to use? It really doesn't pay. So, we're getting into things that are not and really in our expertise. And so I think we probably all have opinions on it, but it's really something that you would want to talk to your solar supplier, I believe would be the right person to talk to on that. There are ways to design systems to maximize them. It's just, it's hard for us to answer.
Barrett has a question of how they would be informed if Central Coast Community Energy is voting on a rate change to our net surplus compensation rate.
Yeah, so all of our board meetings are going to be public. So they are live streamed. Anyone can tune in and provide public comment. And those agendas are posted on our website ahead of time. So you can see what the board will be voting on or discussing during any given meeting. So I'm gonna, Jeff, could you pull that link from our website and drop it in the chat for where they can access any board meeting materials, recordings, or live streams?
Good thing.
Sophia, while Jeff is doing that, how are retail credits calculated?
Yes, so retail credits are calculated on a one-to-one basis. So for example, if you are feeding energy into the grid during off-peak times, your retail credit amount will correlate. And if you're feeding electricity into the grid during on-peak times, that's the amount that you'd be paid out for. So it's how much you would purchase it from us. It's the same amount, one-to-one. That's how they're calculated.
Great. I'll take this question from Peggy. Peggy's asking if they add battery storage, but not additional solar panels, would that cause them to be put into NEM 3.0? I do believe that that's considered a change to your entire system. I'm not an expert about that, but there will be this adoption time period. So just because the CPUC is considering a decision tomorrow, it doesn't mean that it'll be effective immediately. So there is still going to be a transition period during which when people can continue to get work done to their system and remain in the NEM 2.0 program. But I will say if you are in NEM 1.0 and you make a change to your system very soon, then you would be put into NEM 2.0. So it would still result in a change in your program.
Jenna, I see a question here about how our customers can get reminders about our board meetings. And that information would be included in our newsletter. So if you would like to be signed up for a newsletter so you can stay informed on when this is happening, go ahead and drop your email in the Q&A box and I can add you to our newsletter to make sure that you're getting those notifications.
Thanks, Sophia. What are the choices that a customer has to be served by Central Coast Community Energy or to return to service just with the utility?
So if you do want to have your utility handle your generation services, you can absolutely do so. Before Central Coast Community Energy was around, your investor-owned utility was your only option, but now we're happy that you get to pick between us and your investor-owned utility. So if you want to return to being a customer with PG&E or Southern California Edison for both transmission and delivery and generation, you can do so by going to our website, and there's an option to opt out there. So you can follow those steps, and just know that if you were to opt out, it would trigger a true up automatically. So that's the one time when you would have, say if you opted out in February, your true up would occur in February because opting out triggers an automatic true up.
We had a couple questions about notices on the board agenda and meetings. At the bottom of our front page is a place you can sign up to receive those notices. And to one person actually put their email in there, and I'll say, Robert, I will take care of that for you. But yeah, that is the place to sign up to get those notices.
Yes, and we're getting some emails dropped in here, and I promise we'll get everyone who's submitting their email added to the newsletter tomorrow. So thank you for doing that. We got a question asking if your PG&E bill will say which net energy metering rate you're on. And I think if you look over here, what we have up right now at the bottom left where it says your enrolled programs, you can see that this customer is on net energy metering 2 or NEM 2. So this is page 1 of your PG&E bill.
Sophia, we had a customer asking also about where that information may appear on their SCE bill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have a screenshot of that.
Yeah, let's see. So here is page 1 of an SCE customer's bill. So at the bottom of this page, and again, this is page 1, you'll see summary of your billing detail. And you can see this customer's rate right here under the your rate column.
Let's see. So if did we do this one already? If I'm gonna get 2 true-up bills, what's the point of going with you? I kind of hope at this point we've kind of explained to how we do business and what we are offering. We are working on reducing greenhouse gases, which means that we are establishing programs out there to do that. But more importantly, we're entering into contracts that are helping develop wind farms, solar farms, battery farms, in order to help meet those goals. And frankly, we do it at a very competitive and even lower rate. I will also say we have a pretty nice customer service team, and they're pretty easy and to get a hold of and very responsive. And I'm not talking about us on the screen right now, but we do have a call center that they generally will answer your phone call within 7 seconds. And so it's the IOUs do tend to kind of struggle in that. So I believe, offer a higher level of customer service as well. But it is your choice. And so if you decide to have bundled service with PG&E or SCE, that is certainly your choice to do so.
And I do want to note, I think the question said, if they're trued up twice, why would you want to be a Central Coast Community Energy customer? And I just want to reiterate that the dual true ups are for separate services. So we are truing you up for your energy generation, and your investor-owned utility is truing you up for transmission and delivery. So if you were to opt out and be solely a PG&E or SCE customer, you would still be truing up for your generation and transmission and delivery charges. So it wouldn't be like you are having one less true up. It's the same process is happening. It's just that we are doing these services separately. And again, as a Central Coast Community Energy customer, you do have access to those clean energy programs that Jeff was talking about. So we think that's exciting too.
I'll just take a quick question from Melissa, who is enrolled in medical base program, is completely unrelated to the net energy metering program. So they're just completely separate programs. So you don't need to worry about how one affects the other. The same goes for CARE and FARA programs.
And if you did have any medical baseline specific questions, we'd be happy to walk you through that one-on-one if you'd like to reach out to us. All right. So I see a question. Where do I see my December Central Coast Community Energy true-up amount? So this is going to be available to you on your annual statement, which will be a part of your bill during your January bill cycle. So this is where you'll see what you're receiving in net surplus compensation. And if you wanted to find out sooner than that, you could. As a PG&E customer, you would need to gather your bills for the year and add together the total amount that you over generated or put back onto the grid. and then multiply that number by your net surplus compensation rate. And if you are an Southern California Edison customer, it's a little bit different. So if you look at arrow D, you can see that this customer over-generated by about 811 kilowatt hours. So you would multiply that number by your net surplus compensation rate to figure out around what it'll be, but that'll be made officially available to you during your January bill cycle.
I have a question. How often can you change from PG&E or back to Central Coast Community Energy? There are some pretty significant time restrictions. And I think with PG&E, if you switch over, and Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a year before you can come back to Central Coast Community Energy. And back and forth. The laws are written so you don't jump back and forth between your energy providers. And so if you would want more information on that, please email us and we can send you the specifics.
So I'm seeing a question here asking how our billing shows up. This customer doesn't recall getting a bill directly from us. So I'll go ahead and start with the Southern California Edison example since we're right here. So if you are a Southern California Edison customer, this is the bill that you get in the mail from Southern California Edison. Now I want you to flip through the bill till you get near the end, and you'll see a page. If you look at arrow A here on the top right of the page, it says supply/generation, Central Coast Community Energy. So this is the portion of your bill where you'll see our charges. And that's how you know that you're a Central Coast Community Energy customer. So for PG&E, we're going to start at page 1 of your bill. And I want you to look at arrow A on the right side of this page. You'll see at the very bottom of your account summary, it says Central Coast Community Energy electric generation charges. So that is how a PG&E customer would know that they are a Central Coast Community Energy customer.
Fantastic. Sophia, I see that we are at time here, so I just wanted to go ahead and close the floor to any further questions. We did answer 80 questions tonight, so a very robust discussion. I really appreciate everyone sharing their dinner hour with us. And Sophia and Jeff, I know you've spent a lot of time preparing for this presentation, so I just want to thank you for all of the work that went into providing a really comprehensive presentation this evening.
Thank you, Jenna. I really appreciate it. It was great to be here with all of you tonight. And again, I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, so I just dropped our phone number and email address in the chat. So go ahead and reach out to us and we will definitely get back to you very quickly and make sure that you got your question answered. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.